Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. I'm excited for today's guest. She's a diamond executive with ASEA, and she helps educate about a breakthrough health technology that helps the body repair at a cellular level. She also helps other people start a business as well. I'm super excited to be rocking out today with Danielle Matthews. Hey, Danielle, you ready to rock?
I am. Thanks for having me on, Tim.
Awesome. So we always start off here on a good note. So tell me a story of success in your business that we can be inspired by.
Well, when the pandemic set in, I had to totally pivot my business, and I'd gone from everything in person to this massive shutdown and me asking, well, what is this challenge making possible? And literally what dropped in was, Danielle, go online. And Tim, I'll tell you what, my business exploded. It went international through the pandemic. I was able to do what had taken me like 5 years to do, I could do in like a 5-month period. And it has just accelerated things. And I will tell you, challenges always make us stronger and are always opportunities.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. And I definitely agree. There's a lot of businesses, like a lot of traditional businesses and otherwise, that were really reluctant to let people work from home and to do remote things, eh? And this just
Yeah.
like opened that right up, you know? It's great. Awesome. So now with all
Agreed.
those successes though, there's not everything goes as planned. There's always a bad note in there somewhere. So can you tell me something that didn't go as planned during that experience and how we can learn from it?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I got thrown in like Facebook jail. I got put off of social media platforms for doing too much, for being too social. And they, I don't know, they thought it was spam, a robot, and not a real human being. Not, real people don't reach out to 50 people a day, whatever it was. So I literally, these tech companies were shutting down the progress of my business, which was super frustrating to know, like, hey, somebody else right now is dictating my ability to have reach. I don't agree with their policies, but I have to honor those policies. And yeah, it was like not having control. Like as a business owner, I think a lot of people start their own business because they like to have control over things and they want to like dictate their future. And, if I'm going to bet on anything, I'm going to bet on myself. And that was a really frustrating kind of space to move through. And it just honestly, though, it made me go, okay, well, don't just have one platform. You need to be on multiple platforms because you never know. And you also should probably start cultivating an email list because then you have control over that list and you won't lose people. I work with some of my colleagues, they got shut down completely, like completely banned, censored off of these platforms. And all of a sudden they're going, where's my business? It's gone overnight because of somebody else. And I think I learned a lot of lessons along the way about just to be smarter about what I do and don't have control over.
Wow, there's a lot of stuff to take out of that. Let's unpack what you just said. Number one is you're right. I mean, social media platforms are extremely great ways to do business. Almost every single guest on this show over the last several years has talked about social media as a marketing platform, right? But I think that the other side of it is that the social media companies, number one, are trying to make money. And so they want you to pay for all these things. They want you to pay for advertising. So if you're going out there and just rocking a business for free and using the platform, they create these nonsensical rules that really just try to stifle that progress, right? So I mean, I kind of get it on one side. I mean, they're trying to make you pay for ads, I assume, instead of trying to do all this for free, right? What do
Well,
you think it
what's
is?
interesting, Tim, that's exactly right. I mean, they want you to pay to play. That's how they make money, right? And you have to kind of honor that. But what's interesting is that I'm in the network marketing space, and in my industry, they literally will not allow you to run an ad if it has anything to do with the network marketing product or the network marketing business opportunity. So they're already stifling and censoring that entire industry, which is a massive industry. I mean, billions and billions of dollars globally, not allowed to advertise there. So what do? We say, okay, well, I'll just use my personality. I'll use my personal profile. I'll use adding value to the world, creating a following and do it that way. But then they stop you. They say, well, you can't send out X number of direct messages a day. You're capped. And so it's, yeah, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in my industry with what you are and aren't allowed to do, and like how to leverage the platform as well, amidst that.
Wow. Yeah, I spent several years in network marketing as well. And actually my business, I started really hitting it hard in 2010. And if I'm I don't know if this is real or not, but it seems as though that was when things were really starting to roll with network marketing on Facebook. And so a
Yes.
lot of the things that people were doing were kind of my designs. I was like coaching the organization that I was working with at the time on how to use Facebook effectively. And a lot of it was,
Nice.
play teams, tagging other people, posting welcomes, all that stuff that really hadn't existed before we started doing it. And uh, we didn't really get shut down until about a year into it, maybe 2 years into it. That was probably when Facebook was like, whoa, 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 what's going on with these people?
What are these people doing? Yeah.
Yep. And even then, we were more getting lots of hate actually from people that were posting on it and all that stuff. It wasn't really Facebook yet. And I assume that that's probably why Facebook started to, or social media platforms started to implement these rules, is because people were upset about it. But a lot of it has to do with just the industry as a whole. I always found it very weird because I mean, I'm a free thinker. And I don't really believe anybody or disbelieve anybody. I think that there's lots of different truths out there. And when it comes down to it, if a company or if an organization is trying to shut something down, I kind of want to know why. And when I look
Yeah.
into network marketing, it's like, yeah, okay, there are some people getting scammed. That's true. However, there are a lot more people that are actually using it as a learning platform. And, like whether somebody pays, a few $100 or maybe even a few $1,000 to start a business and they fail at it, why can they fail at one type of business and that be fine? But if they fail at a different kind of business, well, then that's a scam. That doesn't, like,
Right.
to me, it was like,
Okay.
if I were to pay a few $1,000s to get started in a business and I failed, well, I would think that was me that failed and I would want to try harder. I wouldn't call the company a scam. Like I bought a franchise and now anyway, but that's just my opinion on all that stuff. But I do find that it has, there's a lot of people that I had actually introduced into network marketing that never made a cent in network marketing, but took that experience and started another traditional business and are doing great with it right now, right?
It's the learning ground. I think, one of the first books I read as I was kind of getting into entrepreneurship was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he says, Robert Kiyosaki says so clearly in there, like everyone should do a network marketing company because you have coaches, mentors already in place that you don't have to pay for that will help you learn the skill set that you need. How to market it, how to work with customers, how to have good retention in your business, how to connect with people, how to build relationships, like all this stuff. They, if they're really good too, they'll teach you how to manage your money along the way, and you start to get around people that think differently. And it's just this beautiful space. It's almost like, a garden. You've got to have the right soil. You've got to have the right nutrients in it. You've got to have the right amount of water. And I think the network marketing industry provides that. It's like the space, the right soil for an entrepreneur to go, okay, like my seed of potential can start to bloom here. And whether I decide to stay there forever or take my skill sets and move elsewhere, that's fine. And a lot of network marketers now, they say, like the ones that are using social media, they're like, look, I want you. And I say this to my team, I want you to make money on different ways. Like use the platform you're creating to, of course, market the main thing, but you can get brand deals. You can do so much more with the influence that you're creating. And, with the skills you're learning and being able to handle rejection, being able to learn how to build a relationship, build rapport with somebody, you're going to be able to do other things. And should you decide to start maybe a more traditional business, again, you've already learned how to wear a lot of these hats that you're going to need in that business.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other point that you'd made, it was about diversifying and actually owning your own list and owning your own brand, which I think is like very, very important. And one of the things that I mean, I know I experienced it even I don't even know why, but one of my music Facebook page got shut down. I have no idea why. Like I still don't know to this day. My guess is maybe somebody didn't like me and reported me. And during all that mess that was going on, I don't think the social media platforms had time to investigate every complaint. So they just shut you down and that was it. But I mean, it really was a bit of a wake up call for me, but also for a lot of people that I work with, because now my business is I build websites, right? I do marketing for people. And so now I'm like, okay, you really need to own your own brand, your own, like, okay, fine, you're working with this company, that's great. But what happens if something happens to that company? What happens if that something happens to your social media platforms? What happens if something happens anywhere? If you brand yourself, then you can, you've branded yourself as the leader, so you can take it anywhere you want, and go somewhere else if you choose to, right?
Yeah, amen to that. I teach the same thing. I train the team on the same thing. I'm like, look, we represent and have an incredible product, right? We work with a biotech company. They've got a great breakthrough. I'm like, don't go be a commercial for them. You know, people, what I learned very quickly in business is people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And it's no different on the internet. Like, I want to get to know you as a human being. I want to see the value you add. I want to start to trust you. I want to understand you, what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And, oh, now you also like this product. Well, I've already fallen in love with so much of you. If you love that, it's a done deal. Like, I already trust you enough that, of course, that makes it a no-brainer. And if people start to build in that way, yes, it can be a slower build. And also, yes, you have to become more confident, but I think it's beautiful because you also have to internally figure out, well, who am I and what do I stand for and what am I willing, to show that my values are and show what they're not. And if there's controversy, which, man, when people hide behind a screen, they can say some nasty stuff, and you got to be able to withstand that. And the beauty on the other side is huge. And the potential to then take that in any direction. Like, to me, time is going to pass anyway. And why not do something where you're creating value? I remember someone said to me, Danielle, if you were a stock, I would hold it. I would buy it and hold it because I see what you're doing now. And I know right now you're undervalued. And in time, it's going to be amazing what you create. And it's like, it's the truth. It's the truth of what's unfolded over the years. And I still feel like, well, there's so much more to come.
It's a great quote. And I mean, as we know too, like, products and businesses change over time. I mean, many of the products that we have now didn't exist 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and many of the products that existed back then don't exist now. So there's a good chance that anybody who's listening to this, whatever you're working on right now, there's a good chance that product itself won't exist in 20 years. So what then? Right? If you branded yourself to that particular product and that's all you do, then you're gonna be fine. You're gonna figure it out. I mean, we're entrepreneurs, right? You're gonna pivot.
Right.
But wouldn't it be better if you had it so that you weren't necessarily connected to that product? Like, I know people that set up their email address of like product love or this. Maybe set it up to be your brand, and this is something that you endorse for right now, right? And then over time that you can take that and move on to something else. Right on.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about getting fans. Yeah, because you've kind of touched on that a little bit already. But like, do you have any specific like strategies that you use to bring people into your sphere?
There's two things I've done, and I honestly believe in both the online and the offline world, because I think there's magic and connection that happens in person that you just simply cannot create online. There is something different about being in the energy space of someone. So I absolutely love networking events, in-person networking events. And I think there's a lot of flavors for a lot of different people. Maybe you're the early morning, get it out of the way, and then I can start my day. Maybe you're like, I just never want to have lunch alone. I'm going to have lunch, with people in network. Maybe you're a happy hour type of person. Maybe you like the big fundraisers, whatever it is. Get yourself in motion in your community, because your local community, there's a network of friendships and things there that, like, my business for the first 5 years, that's all I did. I moved to a town. I didn't know anybody when I'd moved there. And I just got into motion in the community. And I was going to women's events. I was going to the Chamber of Commerce. I was going to Business Networking International. And, I ran into some roadblocks. I mean, the first chamber I went to literally said to me, your type of business isn't welcome here. And I was like, what? And they said, we don't support at-home businesses. And I was like, what in the world? This makes no sense. And it just, it could have shut me down, but instead of getting like, I was like, well, I'll show you. And I joined a chamber like 45 minutes north and, went on to be an ambassador for that chamber, et cetera. As you show up in the community, like I would go to the ribbon cuttings of other businesses. Why? Because that business owner has put their heart and soul into opening a business, and I showed up on their big day. Like, that's a friendship that's going to form. They're going to become a raving fan of me because I was there for them on a day that meant a lot for them. And promoting other businesses, like use your social media to say like, hey, I'm at so-and-so's business. I love it, blah, blah, blah. Here's the owner. You just start to create these relationships in the local community. You never know. What I love about networking is it's not a clear A leads to B. It's like A opened door B, which led to C, which led to D. And now I'm over here X. I don't remember how I got there. But that is how you create it. And you will meet raving fans out there, people that just love you. Like I still to this day, I just got a text message from a woman that was in my business, my BNI group. I haven't been in that group in over 5 years. And she's still, Danielle, I found somebody that needs this. Like, I gave them your number. They're going to be reaching out because she's a raving fan of who I am as a person and what I do and what I represent. So that's number one, getting out in your community. Let people know you're in business, even if you have an at-home business. You don't have a traditional storefront, no brick and mortar. Like you're still a business owner. Represent yourself like one. I would say look professional when you show up because you're the face of your business. That's one. And then, of course, online, to me, it's the same thing. I use the principle of VCP. Visibility leads to credibility, leads to profitability. So if you become visible online, and you increase your credibility by adding value. I lead with value, 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 value. And then occasionally, oh yeah, and this is what I do. And boom, I go for a sale on what I do. But if I was just selling, people are going to run, right? What do we do when we see ads? We click through, we ignore them, but we lean into people that we like. We lean into people that make you feel good. I've realized that through the craziness of, 2020 and on, there's so much negativity. Like I had a lot of trepidation about going online. Backstory a little, I'd had a brain injury. I had been pulled from life for 3 years. And when I got onto social media, it gave me intense anxiety because I saw everyone else living life. And I was being told by doctors, like, this is your new normal. You're never going to be able to do all these things again. So I had a visceral response to social media. And I just went, you got to get over yourself, Danielle. Put your ego aside, put yourself aside, go show up and be a beacon of light for people because this is a difficult time. And having gone through my brain injury, I'm like, I can get through whatever this is about to be. It didn't faze me. It didn't rattle me at all because I have that resiliency from other things in life. And so I was able to lead a lot of people, keep their mind in a positive space rather than dropping into the fear space. And what did that do? Created a lot of raving fans, people that say, well, you know what? Danielle makes me feel good. I come and I look at her profile first thing in the morning because she always has something that drops in and makes my heart open. And that's what you want to do. That's what it's going to create, raving fans for you in your business.
Wow, right on.
Hey, Rockstar. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. If you didn't know already, my business is Creative Crew Agency. We build websites. Now, let's talk about your website for a minute. Most people realize that at this day and age, we need a website, but we don't really know what the website is supposed to do. And sometimes you'll just go and build a website for the sake of building a website. What I do is I make sure that your website actually accomplishes a goal. Now, there are 3 main goals to most websites. Number 1 is to provide information and build credibility. Number 2 is to schedule some sort of appointment and get them onto a sales call. Number 3 is to sell something like an e-commerce site. Now, when you're setting your website, you have to be very mindful that the visitor doesn't know what to do. And so you have to provide them with a roadmap that leads them down a path to wherever you want them to go. On my website, I want them to be on a free consultation. So that's why when you go to creativecrewagency.com, you'll see information about scheduling a free consultation. Now, for you, though, I'm going to provide you with an extra link so that you can get your free website audit. Go to creativecrewagency.com/free website audit and schedule an audit with me. And I'll go through your website live and determine what we can do to improve your conversions and make sure that you're getting the business from your website. Go to creativecrewagency.com and we'll see you there.
So I think that probably, and I'll get your opinion on this, like think probably a lot of the reason why people do go out there and sell is out of probably desperation, is my guess, right? Like maybe they need the business really, really badly. Like, how do you get through that? Like, imagine, like, do you recommend that people start full time? Like, how do you make sure that people aren't in that desperation?
It's tricky. And I'll be honest, like I was in that space off, like when I had to pivot, like I had doubled my expenses. I had moved to Colorado right before the pandemic thinking, oh, I know the system I'll use to build locally there. And then literally I moved in March of 2020, guys. So it was like, and my bills went. Shoo. So I was feeling that internal anxiety. And guys, everything is energy. People feel it on you. They won't buy, even though they want what you're selling, because they sense the desperation on you. You have got to be in the energy space of, I'm fabulous, I'm fine, I trust it's all going to work out. I'm just going to get into motion. You have to lean into faith and not fear. And that's, two sides of the same coin. You got to believe in something you can't see. You can be fearful of something, or you can have faith that it's going to work out. And all I can say is it's a mindset thing. There's really no skill other than, I always say, action absorbs anxiety. Get into activity. High activity will yield more results. That way you don't care so much about the one conversation. You're not being careless, but you care less about each conversation because you have such high activity. You know that you're going to find somebody, because anything in business, it's just sifting and sorting, moving through people to find the ones that are looking for what you have and have the right timing right now in their life, that they're needing it and they're ready for it. And so that's really the advice I have to people is get into higher activity. It'll absorb that anxiety out of you. And then you'll realize, like, I can breathe. People are coming in, and all you can control in business, right? You have the right to action, not the right to the outcome. So you have to marry the process and divorce the results. You have to just get into the flow and the love of doing what you do and sowing seeds, knowing that, you're going to have a harvest down the road.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah. And that's exactly what I would say too, is that more people talk to more people, because, as soon as, if you've only got one person on your list or two people on your list and you need 2 sales, well, then you're going to be just bugging those 2 people until you're
and they're going to back away.
Yeah, exactly. On the other hand, if you have 10, 20, 30 people, well, then that a couple of them are going to be coming to you. And that's the whole point. People like to buy. They just don't like to be sold. So, if you can kind of just let them know that you're there, then they'll want to come to you and buy rather than you going to them and getting sold, right?
Precisely right. Yeah. And guys, the more you think, the more you doubt. And the more you doubt, the less you do. And the less you do, the more you think. It is a vicious cycle, but you can also reverse it, right? The more you do, the less you think. The less you think, the less you doubt. The less you doubt, the more you do. So just figure out which way you're cycling and just pivot. It'll make a big difference.
Jeez. Well, don't think. Make sure you don't think like not at all. You don't think something.
It's true. You got to know your system. Once you've thought through and know your system and know what to do every day, just go do it.
Oh, right on. Well, okay. So let's talk a little bit about tools and instruments is what I call them to success. So tell me, are there any tools that you're using right now to get success?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really right now, I think we're in a really interesting time because AI is becoming available to us. And as a business owner, especially small business owner, there's a lot of activities that you need to do. And it can be hard to figure out at some point, do I outsource this so that I free up my time to do what I'm good at? Do I have the money to do that yet? Like we always reach this point of like, oh, I'm not quite there yet, but I know if I could get somebody in here, it would accelerate me. Well, here's what I can tell you. AI is taking the place of what we used to have to outsource. So for example, I think we've all heard of ChatGPT. It's fabulous, but the inputs you put in matter. All right. What questions are you asking? Are you getting better at your prompts? But there's one called Jasper, which Jasper was created by copywriters for copywriters. So it is incredible marketing language, like incredible. So you can ask Jasper to help you create interesting questions. You can have Jasper help you with, hey, this is what I want to say in my post. Can you make it better? And it's going to be able to do that for you. Like you used to have to hire out and get a good marketer. You don't anymore. You can hire Jasper and you can just, boom, plug it into that and use it. So Jasper's huge for that. I also am really liking Vidyo. So it's vidyo.ai. They are taking, like, Reels are everything right now. Reels are helping you grow online on Facebook, on obviously TikTok, on Instagram, like short form video on YouTube. Also, they're doing shorts now. And you always have to look at, well, what is the platform wanting to grow? And if you start doing what the platform is wanting, you're going to get more traction. So how do you create short form video? Well, you're probably already doing things throughout the day that you can just clip to make short form, or if you're on podcasts or like Tim, all his shows, right? This will take long form video, and the AI, it has like, it's smart enough. They've designed it that it pulls out the right 30, 45-second clip. Like it does it for you. It puts the captions in for you. All you have to do is download it and post it. Like you used to have to pay a lot of money for a video editor to come in, edit your videos, make good captions, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's done for you. So this is just a way, again, get more time in your day to then do the things you are good at, which to me, I would say, like, people are worried about AI. I think if we use it in a smart way to make sure we have more time, then go take your time and make real human connection. Don't make an excuse to just fall into this AI and not have to deal with people. Like, no, human connection will always win. It trumps everything. And you can use AI to get more time and be able to then make more human connection.
I agree. Yeah, I'm in the same boat with AI. Like I find that I'm not even really sure why people are scared of AI. I feel like it might be one of those. Yeah, well, it might even be one of those marketing things that some of these big companies are upset about it. Because when it comes down to it, who is AI going to help? It's going to help people like you and me, small businesses that can't really afford to hire a copywriter. And a lot of the people on my show, we sort of have to create these little play teams of like people that are good at certain areas, and we work together on bigger projects. But you know what? Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. Some people just want to have a decent small business that pays their bills. And for those people, going out and bidding on massive projects, it's not even what they want to do. They just want to help a few people in their community. And for those people, hiring out all these jobs is going to be very difficult for them to pay for. However, AI can help you do all those things. And what that's going to do, I think, is it's going to create a very strong small business network. And what that threatens is big business. Now, all of a sudden, big business who actually had the advantage of being able to pay their workers whatever the heck they want and keep the margin. Now, all of a sudden, a lot of those workers are going to move into a self-employment landscape and have the tools available to them to grow whatever business they want. And they're not going to be able to find those workers. Mind you, they're going to use AI as well. And they're going to replace all those jobs as well. But let's remember, they were going to do that anyway. It has nothing to do with now the bonus is that hopefully we're going to remain able to actually use the same technology that they can use. Because if we can, and we should, then we'll be able to grow our own business. We don't need to go work as a checkout person. We know that job's going to disappear anyway, right?
Exactly. Well said. And I think, people fear change. They fear the unknown. And it's natural, if you start to understand yourself, I think this is what's allowed me to be successful in business, is understanding my own mind. I wrote an ebook called Mind Control. It's all in your head, because so much of my own healing journey was my thinking, and my thinking, I realized, wasn't helping me, and I had to change my thinking. And I believe that the same thing is going to have to happen for people to embrace this massive change that we are going to go through as a society globally with the implementation of AI. Yes, some people are going to use it poorly. Think about when you get power it amplifies who you are. When you get money, it amplifies who you are. When you get a tool as powerful as AI, it amplifies who you are. So if you are a bad seed and you get power, you're going to do things that aren't great. But I believe that most of us are good. I believe this will amplify the good in people. Just like when you get a lot of money, most of the people that I know that are wealthy, they give. They give freely and they're able to make a bigger impact. They're able to help people in need. And I think the same will be true with AI. There's going to be people that figure out how to do some incredibly amazing things for society with it. And I think I focus there, like where you put your attention, energy flows. So why don't, again, fear or faith, why don't we have faith that this is going to really accelerate and do a lot of good things?
Well said. It's a good episode. Okay, so let's talk quickly about practice makes perfect. So tell me about what your routines are to get success.
You need to know, I didn't know what the word KPI meant. Well, that's an acronym, but key performance indices, like my background's biology. All right. When I went to school, that's what I studied, and kind of falling into wanting to do business and build a business. I didn't understand like, well, I'm so used to having to answer to a boss, or like I was a big athlete. I had a coach, and I was very used to somebody telling me what to do and then the accountability of that. So a couple of things that I had to do, again, to hack my own mind, is I set up an accountability partner. So it's changed throughout the years of my business, but I have someone that I check in with. At the beginning, it was like every single day. Now it's gone to weekly. Now it's like bi-weekly of like, hey, this is what I said I was going to do. Just ask me if I did it. Because I know if someone asks me at the end of the day, I'm more likely to do it. That's me. So I had to figure me out and realize, okay, that's going to move me forward. And then knowing like, well, what are my numbers? Like, what is the system? I think I had to first decide where am I wanting to go, and then decide what's the system I'm going to choose to get there. And then what am I going to put into my system daily? And it's a non-negotiable. And I had to figure out how much time I had, to do that, like the income producing activities, because there's a lot of things you can do in business, and you can be busy being busy, maybe working on the business, but not in it so much. You have to constantly be sowing new seeds, like constantly. You never stop because, referrals and everything else is the lifeblood of the business. So I dedicate, for me right now, it's at least a half an hour to reaching out to new people every single day, non-negotiable, like it has to be checked off. I don't get into bed until it's done. And if it's 8:30 at night and I'm like, shoot, where'd the day go? What happened? Because like fires happen, right? You got to go put out. I don't get into bed without doing it. So there are just things that I know I need to do. And then I also have figured out my numbers. Well, how many people do I have to talk to find someone that's interested in what it is that I do and has a need for it? And then after I find the interest and I take them through my process of education, how many of them say yes? So I've had to figure out what my numbers are. And I know like about 25% of the conversations I have will yield a purchase. So then when I go, all right, well, how many purchases do I need? I just backwards plan. Okay, Danielle, you need, 200 conversations. So where are you going to go meet these people? What's the system? How are you reaching out? And I can backwards plan. So I know how I'm using my day. Otherwise, it's a mess. You got to plan the work and then work the plan. And as a business owner, like you're in charge of you. No one's coming to check on you. So you need to make sure that you've got the discipline and knowing the things you need to do to move yourself forward each and every day.
Yeah. Wow. That is by far the most important thing that I've learned on this journey, is that we are conditioned to work for a boss. And if we don't have a boss, we tend to slack off. And so if you can't figure it out, and like every business owner, like it's funny you say, I just hacked my brain. I just know that if I have an accountability partner, everybody is like that, I would argue. I don't think there's anybody that actually just does stuff like without having any type of accountability system in place. Now, maybe they were raised with it, and so they're a little bit further ahead on the journey, but most of us were not raised with it. So we've had to sort of figure it out on the fly. So that's great advice. Now, so it's time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business.
As a biologist, I've always been fascinated and curious at how the body works. And I was told by doctors that, the injury that I sustained was going to be chronic and with me for the rest of my life. And I was able to find a biotech company that had a breakthrough that changed my world. And that's now who I've aligned with. It's on a daily basis. I get text messages. I have conversations that are very similar. Hey, my doctor said this was never going to change. And guess what just changed? My numbers went from this to this. I get so excited. Like 8 years into this, I still get the goosebumps. I still get tears in my eyes of just how profound what I work with is. And, just over the weekend, I was at a conference down in Florida, or in Orlando here in Florida. And they were talking about how I believe the institution was called the Society for Free Radical, the Free Radical Society. They have now changed their name to the Society for Redox Medicine and Biology, because they've realized this field is massive. And for me as a biologist to be at the forefront of this field of redox signaling, to have a product that's so unique that scientists are catching up to what we know, it's huge. and we're still at the very beginning. So what I would say with what's new and exciting in my business is just the fact that this exists, that it's a safe option for so many people, whether it's an infant with an issue or somebody in their 90s with an issue. This goes in and it helps your cells repair what you need. And I just understanding that it's so profound for human life.
Love it. Yeah, I think that if there's anything that we've learned is that our experts don't know everything. and that, hey, that makes sense, because we all, I know that when you need something done, you would like to go to a specialist. I mean, I give that as business advice all the time. Niche down, be a specialist in this one area, because you can't possibly know everything about everything. And the human body is very complicated. And so when it comes down to it, I mean, there are lots of things out there that are working for people that are not necessarily embraced by, the medical and scientific community. And fine, they'll catch up. But what has to happen, I think, is that we do have to have some faith, because really, I mean, if there's anything that's that you're suffering from, there's probably someone out there that's suffering from the same thing, and they may have found a solution, just like you have.
Exactly.
So, we have to be a little bit open and try to find something, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's things in life, there's things that we know, there's things that we know we don't know, but then there's this whole category of stuff that we didn't know it. And I think that's the space I find myself in, is that people have no context, including doctors. My grandfather was a doctor, and he said, Danny, they taught me how to cut. They taught me how to prescribe very well. And I'm very good at that. But you're coming at me with something that I don't know and I don't understand. And he said, I've seen you shift. And if you're telling me it's because you inserted this into your life, I'm going to drink it, but he didn't have the skill set to be able to say yes or no. He was a lung doctor. That's what he knew. He wasn't focused on cellular health and cellular repair. That's not what it is. And I think at times it can be a little scary, because we are so used to trusting our doctors and our medical professionals to understand what's wrong with us. Yeah. They don't have answers a lot of times. And also you have to understand how and who is educating them. This is the age of pharma, and pharmaceuticals rule the day. And unfortunately, they've left out a whole lot of other things that help, right? I think there's a percentage of things that, pharmaceuticals going to be the thing that you need to save your life. And then there's maybe 90% of things that actually a diet change or lifestyle change or something else can shift the root of the issue. And you don't need something to mask the symptom, because you've actually resolved it. And that's the space I like to play in. That's where I found my solutions on my health journey, and, love helping to enlighten others.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, that's the thing, is that I think we have to start to be a little bit more able and free to make that choice for ourselves. Because I mean, for me, I'm in the same space you are. I would rather, maybe adjust my diet, adjust my lifestyle to try to improve, rather than just mask it with a pill. However, I know a lot of people in my life that are the exact opposite. They're like, hell no, I'm not changing my diet at all. I like what I'm doing. I like my lifestyle, but I'll pop a pill, then no problem with that. And that's totally fine. I think that both both of those mindsets can exist at the same time without trying to trample each other. Like, I don't, it doesn't bother me. Take a pill if you want. I just don't want to take a pill.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. That freedom
So
of choice, like people should have the choice. Yeah, agreed.
Agreed. So how do we find out more?
I think Instagram is probably the best way to plug in with me, learn about what I'm doing, and message me over there. I love having conversations. If you've got questions, anything I can do to serve. I'm constantly on my page sharing about, ancient wisdom that has helped me to kind of in these modern times be my best self. I also share business tips. And of course, I share about health and this redox technology. So reach out, let me know where and how I can help you.
So what's your handle?
It's my name. It's just Danielle Matthews, and there's an underscore on either end.
Awesome. Thank you so much for rocking out with me today, Danielle. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, likewise, Tim.
To the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.